like to call our ambassador of France to Nepal, Gilles to open this panel of discussion tonight.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar, bonsoir. I'm pleased to introduce today's discussion on mountaineering and its ecological impact. This roundtable is part of a night of ideas, a program which has been running for many years now. It is supported globally by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This initiative aims to foster intercultural dialogue and exchange views on issues that concern all of us. Nature conservation and nature management are issues that concerns all of us, and especially in our two countries. We share a rich mountainous geography with the Alps and the Pyrenees in France, and of course the Himalayas in Nepal. Tourism is also a major economic revenue for both our countries. Our two countries are looking for the best balance between, on the one hand, economic sustainability for the people who live in and from the mountains, and tourism is key to their economic prosperity, and on the other hand, the preservation of nature, its both beauty, its diversity, but also its economic potential for future generations. There's a paradox here. The more tourists you have climbing and trekking in your mountains, the most prosperous you are. But the more tourists there are, the most your natural assets are under pressure, polluted, and losing their diversity and beauty. Today's influx of tourists runs the risk of making the mountains less attractive to tomorrow's tourists. We must therefore collectively find solutions for a better balance between sufficient immediate income for mountain people and the preservation of nature in order to protect its authentic beauty, but also to guarantee income for the future generations. In France, the mountains have been a popular tourist destination since the 1960s. We now have some 60 years experience. Nepal too has long experience of trekking activities. So today's exchange between Nepalese and French is a discussion between partners with similar concerns and interests. So I'm very pleased to see that among the panelists there are some mountain enthusiasts and also people actively engaged in social activities and projects that contribute to addressing the negative impact of mountaineering. I leave it to Anne-Laure to introduce your guests. Before that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Anne-Laure, Marion, and the whole Alliance Française team for organizing these interesting programs and a platform for exchanging ideas and experiences. So I wish a very productive discussion to all of you. Merci, Danyabad.
And I think we can all join 5 of us now.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone, again. Namaste. Thank you for coming to this second panel of discussion of our series for the year 2024, made possible thanks to the French Institute in Paris. tonight's conversation delves into the relationship between mountaineering and ecological sustainability, just like our ambassador just explained. So I'm not gonna go deeper into it. You know the topic. I think the media is also talking more and more about it. But the idea of tonight is really to have different panelists from different backgrounds who all want to discuss together, and that's not that common actually, because it's always one point of view that we can see through one project. Either it is from Nepal, either it is from international scene, because a lot of international organizations also are involved into that. Nepal is also really aware, and not since yesterday, but since way before. So thank you, all of you, for coming tonight. We have assembled this diverse panel of experts, and without further, let's embark into this insightful journey of exploration and discovery into mountain for the better and the worse. Okay, so first, Marion. Marion Chaygneaud-Dupuy. Your intensive experience into mountaineering and environmental advocacy makes you an important figure in tonight's discussion. You're French and you've been to Everest at least 3 times to climb to the top, if I'm well informed. And you also work closely with local communities, including in Tibet, where you're based today. Your insights into waste management practices are invaluable, and we're eager to hear your perspective. So welcome and thank you. We also have Shilshila Archarya, representing the what we could call youth movement in Nepal, maybe. You have been in the forefront of addressing environmental challenges, including waste management. Your collaboration with the Nepalese army since 2019 to transport waste from Everest to the Kathmandu Valley showcases your commitment to practical solutions, and we're honored to have you with us tonight. Devi Prasad Pant. You in Nepal environment movement since a long time. Your leadership as the president of KEEP has been instrumental in shaping sustainable tourism practices. With KEEP's a long-standing presence since 1992, if I'm true, you've been the voice of a generation committed to environmental conscientiousness in Nepal. I think we're really privileged to have you with us. Thank you for being here tonight. And finally, Breffni Bolze. So from France too, we have 2 panelists from France and 2 panelists from Nepal actually tonight. Your expertise in waste management and your involvement in educational projects across different countries are a great interest for us tonight. Your upcoming mission to Nettoyage Everest 2024, so Cleaning Everest 2024, underscores your dedication to practical solutions, and we are delighted to have you also in this panel. Maybe to start, but not too long, but maybe each of you can explain a little bit more than what I explained, because you're, I think, the best person to explain than I am. What is your project, what you're doing in general or in Nepal, but what brings you in this discussion, and what is the most important for you to discuss tonight? You want to start?
Yeah. I was born in France, my parents are very close to nature, so I got this kind of education when I was very young. And then I moved to the Himalayas when I was 16, and then definitively when I was 18 years old in the monastery in Darjeeling until I was 40 years old. So I spent 22 years. I had to make a living during that time, so I was a trekking guide. I started my career when I was 23 in being a Himalayan guide, first trekking, then expeditions in mainly Tibet, but also Nepal, and Bhutan, and Ladakh. Because I was interested in doing social work, and I was living in Tibet, China, so I opened a company to help entrepreneurs, Tibetan, to integrate in their business model some of the local values that are very important to them, so that they can embrace the modernity and keeping their values. So I've been doing that, and I happened to meet the mountain guide company and the mountain guide school in Tibet, who wanted to improve their practices, the way they do mountaineering in Tibet. So I was working as a trainer and a consultant, and we set up an environmental charter for mountains in Tibet in order to, after all the cleaning up of 6 years of cleaning the Everest, to keep the mountain clean. And that was from 2013 to 2019, 6 years of cleaning up, and then the environmental was endorsed by the local government in 2018, and we could see in 2019 how there was really effort from the official liaison officer, who were the workers from the government, to control on the pollution. So they were very active, and the base camp was very clean in Tibet, and all the camps, except the last camp before the summit, was still still having some trash, some rubbish. And then I happened to meet some students who wanted to do a project in Nepal, and that's how I came and become involved in also finding a long-term common strategy to address this problem in Nepal, and I will tell more later.
Hello everyone. As you introduced, I'm Shilshila Archarya. By education, my background is environmental science, but after I completed my studies, for the past 12-13 years, I've been involved mostly in climate issues, environment, sustainability, and not only on the advocacy. Like I led the plastic bag banning campaign, and we also got the policy changed in Nepal. And not just that, not just the ground advocacy, but also policy level work. And though I studied environment, I have increasingly realized that only looking at environmental aspect is not enough. We have to understand economics, we have to understand social issues, a lot of other issues, and then only by connecting with other sectors we can create holistic solutions. So I've been working like that, and I've run a lot of social entrepreneurial initiatives also, like creating green jobs for disadvantaged women for a very long time, giving alternatives to plastics, all those kind of work, also through the development sector. And currently I also run a plastic waste management company, Breffni Bolze. And since 2019, I got involved with the Nepal Army. And initially I was helping them fundraise and bring more partners, do the campaign, though it's a government campaign, but helping them bring in more NGO partners and corporate partners in that model. And I was also the campaign coordinator in 2021 and 22, and also this year also we're the recycling partner. And so yeah, and not just involved in the cleanup of the waste that is already thrown in the mountains. Like my interest, like deeper interest, is in how do we create policies that will help us to not throw waste in the first place. So that's the angle I'm looking at through this campaign. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have enough opportunity to talk about that later. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for inviting KIP at this forum. My name is Devi Prasad Panta. KIP is a non-profit and non-government organization since established in 1992, and the founder, president of the organization is late Dr. Chandra Guru. He is the environmentalist. He was the environmentalist. So KIP is working on basically tourism sector for the protection of the environment. We do some training for the trekking porters and trekking guides for the environmental protection management system. And we do awareness program, tree plantation every year, cleaning program on the touristic area, old heritage sites. And we do sometimes in 2001 to 2003, KIP and Friends Association jointly organized Dhaulagiri cleanup campaign. So one of the member of this campaign is the gentleman. KIP is doing awareness and training as well as tourism capacity building for the tourism workers now at this. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. What I could add is that I'm an environmental engineer specialized in waste recycling, so that's my job. And I'm also beside an active member of an NGO which is called Mountain Wilderness. We have one antenna in France, but it's around the world. I don't think there's an antenna in Nepal, but it's present in at least 10 or 12 countries with mountain ranges. And so I'm an activist, let's say, in this NGO for organizing waste cleanups in the mountains. So most of the cleanups I organize or where I participate are in the Alps, close to my home. But from time to time, every 3, 4, 5 years, I spare a few weeks of holidays and I go and help to clean mountains abroad. And so my first cleanup, as you said, was Dhaulagiri. I was a student. It was in 2001, 2002, 2003. And it was such a great experience that I've kept going on for these years. And I'm very pleased to come back here 20 years afterwards and collaborate once again with KIP. And collaborate also with some students, because there are some French students, we'll talk about it, who are on the mountain already since a few weeks, trying to build a recycling center. What I would just finish saying is that there is this paradox. I think within 20 years, people have become much more clean, much more aware of the environment. But during these 20 years, people have been much more numerous also. At the Everest Base Camp trek, I think I read that it was maybe 15,000 people 20 years ago. Now it's about 50, almost 60,000. So we have to deal with this, and I think this is one of the major problems that we can discuss about.
Maybe also for everyone to be aware of what we're really talking about, what kind of wastes can we find up there. It's different, but I'm sure there is some we can talk about more than others, and what does it represent, and the amount and everything. Do you have some, yeah, can you, I'm not sure everyone planned to go, so maybe, and that's not the idea of tonight too. The idea is to talk about what's happening and what we can find, what is the problem before talking about solution.
Should I start with the waste composition or some other facts also? Yeah. Okay. So for Nepali mountains, we don't have the exact data. Like no one has the exact data, like which mountain has how many tons of waste and how many dead bodies. Like even government doesn't have the exact data, but it is estimated that we have around 300 to 400 dead bodies in the mountains. And then we have 1,500 to 3,000 tons of waste. So that is 1,500 into 1,000 kgs of waste. Of course there are human feces, estimated around like 30-40 tons. And in these past 6 years that we've been involved, we have covered 8,000 plus mountains, and this year we're doing 3. So all total we will be doing we'll be removing 105 tons of waste, and that we have recycled. And and based on my experience, I can say that the most common type of waste there are some amount of biodegradable waste as well. From what we got in the campaign, like we have around 10 to 11% biodegradable waste, but it again depends what you pick, right? So it may not represent the what is present there, but what you extract. That's the data we have, and we're the only one with the brand audit and brand data, like which brands are throwing their products are reaching there, and so mostly it's plastic, metals, and glasses by weight, because these are heavy, so these are the most common. But then in terms of items, like most of it in plastic we find sachets and food containers. Everything is packed. They all use packed food. And what was the most surprising to us was even the vegetables that were used in mountain tops. They go from Kalimati, that come from India. It's not even from Nepal. So those kind of data. And then we find tents, chairs, doormats, and all kinds of items. And some I like to call luxury items, though we would like to think they have a very, austere kind of life there, but then some items look very luxurious to me, at least. So those are and of course ropes. And when we took the recycling work, what we committed was we'll not let any of the waste go to the landfills. It doesn't make sense for us to go all the way to the top of the mountain, bring all that waste to Kathmandu to a recycling facility, and then send it to landfill, right? So we've been processing all kinds of waste, and some are difficult. And among them, one of them is the mountaineering rope. So you can see, with the ropes, we made these kind of products. We partnered with indigenous women from Nepal, and then with their skills, we turned them into this kind of product. And a lot of other recycling, upcycling initiatives. So yeah, batteries, shoes, all kinds of products are found there.
And so what is also really interesting is that you're talking more from how you bring the waste here in Kathmandu and then how you deal with it, because that's also a really important question. But I know that also, for example, Davis here is working more with the people up there to see how we can avoid to bring, you were talking about food, for example, how we can avoid to bring some food from down and make some food and train some of the people up there to make some food for foreigners coming in the mountain. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the training you're organizing.
Thank you. Basically, nowadays, the foods are mandates the easy way to eat foods. So it's disturb our mountain areas. whoever took it, or trekking guides, or porters, or tourists. And in the local area is the local people, because of many factors, they are not ready to grow the local foods for the tourists. So it's, they have to carry from city to the mountain areas. Now we are educating them to grow local foods in their village, and we do the cook training for the how to cook the local foods to present the tourist. Every year we do different places. We do training for the porters and guides for how to cook the foods for the tourist. And every year we do conduct training in our Kathmandu city office. We do first aid training for the porters and guides. Sustainable mountain tourism training also we conduct every year in different places where the porters and guides are living. Just 3 months ago, we've been in Dolpa, and we give such kind of training in the Dolpa who are in the working and trekking especially. Now we are preparing one book, we call it MIT, Minimum Impact Travel. It's a principle book, it's a guideline book. So we are going to handle such kind of training based on this book. And we do training for the trekking manager level also. There's a different how to treat the tourist, or how to handle the porters and guides for the environmental aspect. So it's kind of training we are going to train in the different level of the training.
I know that Breffni, you started with Nepal 20 years ago, but then you've been also in other places for waste management and all. So you've seen what's happening in Nepal. You've seen how other people deal with same kind of problem or different, but waste management issues. Is there things you could talk about of how we manage here in Nepal, how you saw things elsewhere?
Yeah, I've been to different countries, not so many, but I have organized some cleanups in South America, in Aconcagua, in Mount Elbrus in Russia, which is the highest point of Europe. I went also to Mustagata in China. What I can say is that it depends on the places, but for example in Aconcagua, that was in 2008, quite a long time ago already, and they had in the national park system where you had to bring back your poop, which is now, I see, installed in the Everest regions this year. So there are some best practices you can take in different countries. I know that there are also some places where there's so many people that they have to start now limiting the number of people who access some national parks that exist in the States, for example. So that can be another solution, which is not very fun because you kind of have to forecast your trek ahead of time. You're not sure to have a place, but that's sometimes a solution. There's also the fact of giving an amount of money which you deposit, which you recover at the end once you bring back your trash. This exists in at least in the Everest. we're talking about Everest always in Nepal, but there's many other regions where it doesn't exist. So yeah, there are lots of good ideas you can take in different other countries. But I think that now in Everest, it's maybe the best place with the best, the best regulation to limit the impact.
Yeah, maybe some of you can also explain, or I don't know who knows the best, but what are already the rules when you come for trekking in Nepal? For the waste you're gonna generate and everything, is there already some things that exist from the government when you come or when you get your trekking permits? At least maybe for the summit. I think obviously for Everest it's more advanced on that question than if you go in Dolpo or Mustang or even other places that less people go to, but it's also, the reason is also there is more people going there. But what are the
Well, I'm not a specialist, but you can maybe correct me. I think it's only in the Everest that there's a real regulation with the deposit, this new biodegradable plastic bag they give you to recover the poop. But in the other regions, I don't think there's any regulation. But Keep does a good job of education to the trekking companies and the porters, so that every group brings back its waste. So it's more kind of a sensibilization elsewhere and a regulation in Everest. Am I correct?
Yeah, perhaps we can talk from the training, from the roots, from the bottom to the up. And then also the government that make regulation is more like top to the down. That's regulate basically also the behaviors. If individuals like me, like a climber, who doesn't want to just be a responsible climber, then there must be some rules with some. Human resources are able to control, and that's a lot of people. That's the problem, especially when we are talking about the higher camps. To have people controlling the flow of the stream of mountaineers going up and down, and who is littering on the way, it's very difficult to control. But in terms of having a clear answer about what are the rules, we kind of know, all of us, I think, but we don't even exactly know, which I think is maybe one of the source of the problem. I mean, there is this deposit money that is $4,000 US for Mount Everest that each expedition has to, is individual or expedition? Per climber. To deposit, and then there is a weighting system. They weight the amount of trash that to bring down. It's 8 kg per person. So if you actually meet this requirement, you are getting your deposit money back. And yeah, this is what I can tell for now.
Yeah, just like Marion said. Principally, there's also the deposit fee in other mountains as well. So it is issued, one deposit, refundable deposit is issued per permit. And for one permit, the climber can have up to 14, 15 people. So it's not, the deposit is not per person, per permit. So that's one thing, and then it's refundable. Like if you prove that you bring all the waste back, you get all the money back. So so I think, from a policy perspective, it should be at least some money or all money should have been deposited to a fund, right? Because right now, all the cleanups that we're doing is from taxpayer money to clean up the mountains. And in terms of policies, there's also a glass ban. Like glass beer bottles and things like that are not allowed because it's harder to bring back. It gets broken and a lot of problem. And then the local government had also announced a single-use bottles and plastics ban. I think it was in 2018 or 19. I'm not sure if it's very effective, 100%, but the policy is there. And then poop, like bringing the poop, recently came into being. And then also one of the factors is that the waste verification and collection mechanism is only present in the Everest. And in other mountains, there's no entity like that. Like Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, in other mountains also there are a lot of tourists are increasing now, but there's no, first of all, no entity to monitor, and then second, there's no recycling facility in these mountains. That's why we had to bring it to Kathmandu. Otherwise, we'd have recycled it nearer, and now they are building a plastic recycling center in Pangboche, so I hope that will help a lot. So we need these kind of entities in other mountains as well. So yeah, those are the policies that exist.
And still they're not very well applied, I mean.
Yeah, and maybe that's the good moment also, Marion and Breffni, to explain the project you are running, and you are going back in the mountain tomorrow to continue that. So maybe you can explain a little bit more about it.
Yeah, there are two missions in this project. One is the cleanup mission, and Breffni is going to develop more about it, maybe, what we are going to do from tomorrow up to base camp. And then there is another level, which is like a long-term project that we are looking at. We both met some students from a small university, engineering university in France, and they came to Kathmandu to build some machines to recycle the plastics, and some very sophisticated machines actually. One of them is the pyrolysis, is transforming the plastic into fuel. So it's the best technology we can get today in terms of waste management, treating waste, recycling. But this machine cannot be brought to Pangboche. The last village before the Everest base camp is a small village where the Sherpas population live during the year. They're having some lodges, some restaurants, and some fields, and they are very eager to have a recycling center to be built in this village. And there have been some discussion since 2020. There is, okay, maybe it's better, yeah. 2020. So 4 years now of discussion with the Pangboche villagers how to build this recycling center. So based on this ongoing conversation, and also they approached me, the students from South France, to give them some mentoring, some to give them some advice. So I got involved in their project from the very beginning, and now I came to I found some sponsors to build the recycling center. I'm not the only source of financing, but for now the main one. And I'm also helping them to get all the legal aspects of the project to be set from the foundation. So basically, we are now in partnership with the SPCC, the NGO who is actually in charge of all the Sagarmatha pollution control activities, the committee, running these activities, and then also the Sagarmatha National Park. So based on all these agreements that we finalized, and now we are in the middle of finalizing, it's maybe 2 more months, and the center is going to be built. So it can be a pilot project to get the locals involved in the business model for the recycling center, so that not only they get a good source of revenues for it, but also as it could be a place to promote the local values of how we relate to to maintain environment in different ways, not just seeking to reach the summit and then going back home, kind of like consuming the mountain in a way, but also the local culture can bring some insights and wisdom on how experiencing things differently, and they are a very important role to play in this place. Pangboche is actually the village where the first monastery was built in the valley, in the Khumbu, and it's a crossroads of many places. So yeah, it's the culture is very very rich there. Anyway, so that center is going to be a place for categorizing waste, for recycling waste, and sharing tea, stories, food, and local culture and wisdom.
Yeah, so as Marion said, the one aspect of the project also is to do a cleanup. So I was in touch also with these French students, and I found their project very interesting because it's a long-term project. And we discussed, and I proposed that we organized a first collection of waste, to bring the first waste to their recycling center. So that was the purpose of the expedition we are going to start tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, we discovered that there won't be so many wastes to collect because the SPCC is already doing a very good job. So what we're going to do mainly is that we're going to sort some waste to recover a maximum of plastics. And we will bring these plastics to the recycling center in Pangboche, where they will be recycled on site to be transformed into building materials made out of recycled plastic. So that's what we're going to do for the next 3 weeks. We have a team. There's Marion, me, myself, but there are 4 other people who are here. So maybe you can stand up, and there's Léonore, Marie-Sophie, Jean behind, and my daughter Noah. So we're 6. Who initiated the cleanup?
Yeah, no, the project.
The trio, it's 5 students. Well, they are 5 this year. It's 3 years ago. It started in France. There was a team of engineers, and they decided to help to clean up the Nepal Valley by making a sustainable project. You talked about pyrolysis of plastics. That was their initial project, but it was too sophisticated, let's say, in a high mountain village. So they changed their project to a sorting facility to sort the different materials, the plastics, the metal, the glass, so that they can be recycled. The glass and the metal cannot be recycled on the spot. It will be brought down to Kathmandu. But on the spot, they are going to have a process to shredder the plastic in little chips and then melt it into a sheet press, they call it, to make some kind of sheets 1 meter per 1 meter with 2 centimeters thickness. And this is working in Kathmandu?
Yeah, and you can make tables, you can make chairs, you can make construction materials for the roof, and also for the walls inside. Yeah.
So
and
today
they're
it's
also
working in
thinking of
Kathmandu?
machines for the insulation between the walls. There is this kind of polyfloss you can use. It's made of plastic, and the inhabitants of Pangboche, they are also eager to get those things. Yeah.
So today the machine is operating in Kathmandu, and their idea is to bring it to Pangboche once the center is built.
Yeah.
So the plastics will be used locally. That's really clever and useful. So we're really happy to help them, and we're going to join them in a few days, and they're going to come with us also to help sort the plastics.
So because there is different level of, I guess, how you deal with the different base camp, because I imagine it's not the same, and even if you're really conscious of everything, at one point you're also less, like you have less energy and less time and less everything to deal with it when you...
As a climber,
as a climber,
how our body and mind is kind of in completely different state when we are in a high altitude. So it's very difficult to anticipate, for example, like the part of the brain that is planning, which is like analyzing and anticipating, is kind of almost like frozen, and it's only like a sense of like survival that's the back of the brain that's very active, that you just want to only focus on a very narrow objective, which is to stay alive. So any other objectives are very secondary, and that explains why most of the climbers who are not used to high altitudes, who doesn't have experience, they are just ending up being there in these very high like camps above 8,000 meters, and then for the first time they face a situation that they actually don't know how to handle, like having all their equipment and everything, and then of course there are the Sherpas who are with them, who are very qualified and who have the experience and all, but also for them their life also is in danger, and there are a lot of stories actually of risking your life at this level of high altitude. So yeah, it's very difficult to find solutions for how the impact of the rubbish left on the high camps can be managed, so that it has to be done by professionals that are paid for these specific missions to do the job. Because both the guide and the clients who go to the top are in states that doesn't allow the bringing back the rubbish. So yeah, that's
yeah. And you were talking earlier, Shilshila, about the that dead body that we can have there. It's because it's been a big issue since a long time, and it's still today. But the numbers you gave are quite impressive for sure. And maybe if you can say a little bit more about how they deal with that to take care of people who stayed up there.
Even the dead bodies, or
Yeah.
So as Marion just explained, for normal climbers whose mission is just to mostly to summit and to get their clients to the top, their main focus is on summiting and coming back alive. That's the goal, right? And with this, with the campaign that we do with the Nepal Army, the main goal is to bring the waste back. So they normally don't summit, but they go up to the 4th camp, and they bring the waste back. And it's also run in an expedition model with the Nepal Army team as well as the Sherpa team. And while bringing the waste back, they also involve other other porters and other climbers who are coming back empty-handed. So they also use their help to bring the waste back and then pay them per kg. But even having said that, it's a very risky and very expensive operation. Even last year, two Sherpa guides, two Sherpa team members lost their lives in 2023, and one army officer had to be, his leg and hand had to be amputated. So it's a very risky thing. And in terms of expenses, to bring all that waste back to Kathmandu, we paid per kg $62. So none of that waste is, priced high enough to meet that cost. So it's not a money-making thing. It's a total expense, right, for the taxpayers. And every year there has been certain targets, we want to bring back this many dead bodies and this much of waste. So this year also we're bringing back 10 tons of waste and 5 dead bodies. And bringing dead bodies is very difficult because, again, it's not like a small piece of waste, it's very huge, and to bring back one dead body, it involves like at least 8 people coordinating to bring that.
It's way more complicated.
Yeah. And to bring back one dead body, like 8 lives are at risk. And cost is also high. We are charging $11,000 per permit, which is the Everest. Most expensive permit is $11,000. But when we bring back that dead body, the cost easily goes from like 5 million to 10 million Nepali rupees. So
I think it's important to have it.
50 lakhs to 1 crore. So, there are a lot of policies. I would like to, if we have time, or maybe I can just say now, like some of the policies that need to be implemented, because after throwing it, it's so hard to get it back, So the best would be to not throw it in the first place. So first of all, like mountains are water towers. It's like, you have a water tank on the top of your building, and you go there occasionally and poop and, urinate. It's same, Those are our water towers. How would that be, right? After a while, if everything starts melting and with climate change, with so much of, impact of humans there, like all those fishes and coliform will come to our water supply, So one reason that, and also because of the spiritual value, like we should, I think, not make mountains a place for mass tourism. So some level of, maybe we should hike the price, really send responsible tourists only. Like only few people earn the same money but with less people, So that kind of model. And then also we need to make everyone accountable, like climbers, mountaineering expedition companies and everyone. But right now, a lot of times, the companies are managing everything. So the climber would not even know that, I'm paying a deposit fee. I've talked to so many climbers and they're like unaware. Oh, did I pay a fee? I'm not sure. Because the company manages it and they don't realize it's there. So, like we need to make the companies accountable to bring back dead bodies. If someone dies, like right now the insurance they are claiming, but the dead bodies are being left behind. And someone else has to bring that back, right? So those kind of things. And also, I think another thing is needed. We found even a lot of cigarettes, I was hoping the food would be very healthy, but there are like smoking and drinking, all of those happening in the mountains, even though they need a lot of stamina and all. But those things were showing up in the waste, and we can analyze the lifestyle that way. So I think extended producers' responsibility. Whose waste is ending up in those high mountains, they should be made accountable to bring that back, right? And we have, to some extent, also practiced this in the campaign by making those companies pay, but it should be as a nationwide thing. And then, as I already said, deposit. Either give part of the deposit back, or and keep some, or keep the whole amount. Like we need money for cleanups for the waste that is already there, So those kind of things, and yeah, we need more waste management and recycling entities in all mountains, not just in Everest. We always talk about Everest. Everyone is interested in Everest, but all mountains are equally important. That's what I feel. Yeah, that's it.
And it's something you're working on every day, and you're talking with us tonight, and you're really aware of all that. And we feel it's really important for you, as it should be for everyone who is involved in trekking in the mountain. But it's also something you're discussing through your job with the authority of Nepal, or not, or do you know who is doing it, how it is?
As a practitioner, as an advocate, we also keep doing our job 365 days, like through our company, not just managing the waste from mountains, but also in the urban areas. We recycle all kinds of plastics, and even multi-layer plastic, which is commonly being burned and landfilled, that we manage. That kind of work is also ongoing, but a lot of involvement with policy bodies also, so that we can introduce this kind of policies. That advocacy is ongoing. And the other group that also need to be aware is like regular people, citizens, national as well as global. So there has been, we felt the need for campaign like that, and Marion, that's how I met her. And Marion, me, and Manola, like we've been discussing, like how can we create a campaign. So we are aiming for 2025 to create, run just a communication campaign just to make people more aware. We call it zero plastic Himalayas 2025. So yeah, those kind of work are also ongoing in the background, and and the effort is ongoing.
Yeah, because everything is about also, like we said, training and information. So like it can be done with KEEP directly to the people working in the mountain and with the tourists coming for trekking, but it also has to go directly to the people coming from outside Nepal and being involved and paying, and like you said, to know where the money is going, why they pay, because if it's an agency doing it, sometimes I don't really know for what exactly they paid. I know that Marion, you also are working in Tibet with charter for tourists coming there and how they should act, because there is really different layers of people directly in the mountains, people coming to visit for a while, people like you who are more involved in how to deal then with the waste, bring it from up to middle to back here. And even back here, we all know that the solution is not the best in Kathmandu too for waste management. Everybody's still working on that. And then there is also education part for everyone to be aware of all this process, including kids, because they are the future of people going in the mountain.
Ultimately, the education and awareness is a must for the preservation of our mountain. So KEEP is doing such kind of training, as I already said, where we this MIT minimum impact travel, we develop a policy, guideline books. Can I just and there is a government policies I would like to add. Yes, there is a deposit system, but it's not working properly. When they wet the things what they are taking, but when they come back, are they really taking the things from the particular area or below Lugla or Sangate or somewhere? So monitoring policy is a lack. So I hope government is changing that kind of policy. Government is applying the charge system of the environmental, not deposit, just charge the money. They are thinking that way, so they can use that money to such kind of cleanup campaign or something like that. So this is the minimum impact travel. So this basically for the school level too, school level student too. September 2003, we conduct one school education program based on this MIT. In that program, 3 government schools, we choose the 5 ladies, girls students, and we give them outdoor training, like how to, in the trekking area, hiking trails, how to manage the waste system. So we implement from this MIT things. And for the responsible, be a responsible trekking guides and be a responsible porters, or normally trekkers are conscious about what things to throw, but the local people, they must have to be aware of their, so they need education for the environment. So we are also going to train and partnering with the municipality level. So in future, I the education and awareness things is works properly.
And it's already better. It's also important to remember that everything is not, it's not only getting worse, it's just a number of percent.
Yeah, regarding the companies, because you were also referring to me as, I also run a trekking and expedition company. And actually at the beginning, a company is just about profits. We have to be profitable first, right? So this is how, most of the companies in the industry are just thinking. So we also have to start from saying that's how business works, right? And then there are some people who want to become more socially responsible or environmentally responsible. So some of them, some of the agencies, they can send their guide to be trained, for example, and keep. Not all of them will do, of course. They can send the porters. Porters is a little bit different, right? Because they don't really belong to one company. They are more freelance, and then the CEODARs will recruit them. The logistic manager will recruit them, and then but you go actually and train them where they live, right, in the villages, and they also come to Kathmandu sometimes. But yeah, so. But yeah, from the side of the company, just to go back, what are the options? What they can do. It's very difficult actually to see in the very competitive marketplace here with so many companies. They say, okay, if I'm going to raise the price of my trekking because I actually give more trainings or I pay better, then actually they're getting really less clients for sure. And I also tried as a company to sell responsible tours in Tibet, and because our tours were more expensive, we actually had almost we couldn't be profitable anymore. So that's why also how the situation with the market right now. People who really want to pay more for their trip in Himalayas, because they know all the good impact that there are actually few. Yeah.
And maybe we can also talk about education. I know, Breffni, you have maybe a few more things to say, and also to little kids actually. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because there is also an educational dimension with the expedition we're going to lead tomorrow. There are 11 classes of secondary school and primary school in France, which are going to follow day to day the project. So it's important for us that also there's this link, and that we sensibilize these young kids to sorting their waste, recycling their waste at home. So it usually comes from the kids more than from the parents. So the idea of this expedition, all these expeditions in the mountains, is also to deal and to discuss about waste. Of course, we're going to collect the waste up there in the difficult conditions of altitude and cold. But it's also important to deal with our waste at home, at work, in our cities. So this is also one of our messages when we organize these projects, is to try to sensibilize everyone here. What can we do better for dealing with our waste? This is a question you can have tomorrow when you go back to work, for example. I'm sure you're all kind of aware already of the environment, but we can always push the things a bit further.
I think we're going to go to the question of everyone soon. Just to finish, I wanted to talk quickly about the media, the impact they can have, good impact they can have on what you are fighting for, what is the limit also maybe. But for sure, I was saying when we opened this discussion that we see and we read more and more in the media, in Nepal, in France also. We work with our students on those questions often here in Alliance Française. It's something everybody is more and more aware. How can they help us? What is the limit of what they say? we have two sides. That I like when there is two sides. Hello.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that question, because I think that was one key element to end the discussion with. I think media is super important for all of this, and even now, like during the climbing expedition season, like we find different kinds of like news. The news about mountains is more, not just in local, but also in international media, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes about the traffic jam, sometimes about the waste, things like that. But still, there are a lot of issues, like a lot of nuances and a lot of these hidden issues that need to come to the media. So as of now, I don't think even 10% has come out, And also it depends how much media understands these issues. Especially in Nepal, I've talked to so many media houses and always, encouraging them or requesting them to cover it from environmental climate perspective, and that knowledge or commitment has been very low in the media. Like politics and social issues, that's a lot in Nepal, but these kind of issues is not easily taken up by Nepali media. And sometimes you have to reach out to international media, and once they cover, and then it will be picked up by Nepali media. So that happens, but even in international, like mostly Everest and other kind of hot news are picked up, but like slower kind of news are not always picked up. Like one example, I felt the power of media. In 2020, the cleanup campaign could not happen because of COVID. Like all the mountains were closed, right? So Nepal had zero revenue from mountaineering that year. And the next year in 2021, we were again working on this campaign. And to bring 35 tons, we were planning, the whole budget was like 12 crores Nepali rupees. And that was just for, in 21, 6 mountains. 6 mountains was 12 crores was the cost. And we are here, and even that was not enough, so we are trying to bring in more resources. And on the other hand, on the media, I started seeing news that, 2020, there was no revenue. This year, it's going to be 2 crores, 3 crores, 6 crores. So that was a big news. And people were saying, we're earning so much from the mountains. So they feel like we're earning it for free, or it's a lot. We just got the mountains, and then now we get to earn all this money. They think that way. So that's the kind of understanding of the media, and because of that, of the public. But then other costs, like, that's the money we bring in. So how much are we spending for cleanups? How much of money is coming into Nepali economy? How much of it is actually staying in Nepal? How much of it is going back to airline companies, all these expedition gears and other companies? Even food, I said vegetable is going, and that money is going to India. So at the end, like what stays in Nepal is just the labor money. Some lodges and all, but mostly it's a labor that we are selling, And also I talked about dead bodies. Like the cost of the permit is like $11,000, and the cost of bringing back the dead body is 5 to 10 times more for one body. And with one permit, we know 14, 15 people can go. So that's like, potentially that many people going for one permit. So when you add all of this up, like there's serious considerations to be made, and media plays a very big role there. Yeah, maybe Marion can add.
Well, I'm adding on the bad side. I totally agree on the good side, and we're actually working on this communication campaign together. So we agree on that. But I want maybe to explain a little bit more from the maybe the Western psychology on a more individualistic way of doing things. Whether you climb Everest or you initiate a project to do a cleanup or anything. It becomes a lot about me, my project, and my communication about it. And the more media I get, the more attention I get, the better I feel, and I get more money, get more sponsors, and then it's a cycle. So it became like very strong, this kind of mindset not only, of course, mainly on Western climbers, but also now it started also to be on some of the Sherpas or other climbers, and it became really a problem because okay, you get media attention for sure. That's you have a lot of stories to tell when you climb Everest and everything, but you lose the sense of actually. Well, the targeting this problem, I mean, tackling this problem of waste management, it only can be done with a very strong network of people and collective power, almost like a movement. So it cannot be the voice of some individuals who are taking all the credits just for a moment or two of like glory in front of the media that it can happen. And it can even spoil the whole thing because then, yeah, it's create an environment where it's even becoming more individualistic. And the idea of creating collective vision and a collective direction that we all can take part of it in a humble way, then it's not even part of the game. So, yeah, it can be also a bad side of the media, getting more attraction, more competition to get the media visibility.
Okay, maybe we can take 3-4 questions depending on how long are your questions. But do you have some questions? And after that, I'm going to conclude, and then we can continue talking all together outside with buffet from the bistro.
Can I ask one quick question? You mentioned dead bodies that you bring back. Now the dead bodies, you have to get permission from the climbers who passed away, their family, isn't it? You can't just bring back dead bodies, because I know people who've tried to bring, but they have to get permission. Some want their bodies to remain there, and some just, you know. So can you explain that?
No.
Yeah, as per the rule, it has to be brought back. Even for the insurance and all, like first you have to prove, you know, and then only you get the insurance money back. But there has been some instances recently where without getting the body back, like they tried to get letters from the authorities to prove that, you know, so-and-so person has been missing, or, you know, confirmed dead, and then getting the insurance, you know, because the insurance money was very high. And when you talk about bringing the body, they like a lot of times we've also heard, no, that person wanted to, you know, rest in the Himalayas. They wanted to be left there, so they didn't bring back. But I don't think it's a good idea, because ultimately when the, you know, temperatures start rising and all, like it will have impacts. And in terms of bringing the body back, since we're working with Nepal Army, like. And not all of the dead bodies are identified also, and because it does not in the mountains, it does not decay, right? So every dead body, like whether it's very old, also can still be very fresh. So a lot of them are not even identified. So once they get the body back, then they also start the process of you know, identifying which country and which family. So they have this system of you know, informing, and this notice period, like if anyone you know, belongs to the family, they want to claim the body, they want to take it, then there's a period. But if there is no contact or anything like that, then there's a process for a Nepali army and the police. Like they have certain procedures they have to follow, and then they can manage.
So someone like Scott Fisher wanted his body to remain there, you know, his wife said. So there are cases like that also.
Yeah, but again, like not looking at individual people, like if we look at it as a whole, if let's say in the future there are like thousands of dead bodies just lying there, then what happens, you know? I think we also have to look at it from that perspective. Yeah.
Firstly, thank you for having all of us here and inspired. So I have 2 questions actually, and very short ones. I don't want to take up a lot of time. So as a mountaineer, what are the recommendations or tips that you would give to future mountaineers so that they can travel a little bit responsibly? And my second question would be, is it possible for trekking companies to maybe spend just an hour or so before the trek or travel for all of their clients, so that they can travel a little bit, responsibly? Since I haven't traveled much, but I summited Mount Fuji, and while on the way, we never made any trash, and there were no trash on the way as well. So I'm shocked that there, as Shilshila said, there are lots of trash, and I was also expecting maybe bottles and Coke bottles or mineral water bottles to be up there, but there are other waste which I'm surprised about also. So are there any tips or recommendations as a mountaineers to future mountaineers, so maybe they can be a little bit responsible?
Yeah, we have a waste management manual for individuals that is very detailed. So if someone who wants to actually do the preparation and to run the expedition, and then after the expedition in a very sustainable way, they have all the information. It's not yet well diffused, no, spread. So it will be part of the communication campaign. Yeah, but it exists. And then the second one, it's companies. I mean, they are very different one from another, right? But again, I mean, first is profit, and that's the reason why is there are so many climbers coming. Is the more the better. Exactly what the ambassador was saying. First is just running after profit, and then for people who wants to become more responsible, of course they can, but they will be a little bit behind in the market. I mean, it's very simplified, my answer, but. Well, I've been trying to be one, unfortunately. But I can. You mean in Nepal, of course, there are plenty of them. But you want me to tell which one is more sustainable? To be more, yeah. When you choose your company, yeah, and then to spend 1 hour briefing your clients. Yeah, I mean, I guess also most of the companies, they want to do that, and they will do that, and they're ready to do it. But at the end, also, it's going beyond that. Actually, there are too many people on the mountain at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, the keepers got the minimal impact travel, which there's very lot of tips inside also. Just once.
Good for the guides, right? So in the first guides. Bus guides. Okay.
No, just one small tip. For example, is not to buy bottled water, but to go with your filter can. That's an easy tip, which avoids lots of bottles of plastic, because you're supposed to drink 5 liters per day. I read when you go in high altitude, so we'll have these kind of filter bottles. That's just to give one example of tip.
Hello. I have one question regarding the government's role in all this society, and especially in the mountains. So sorry, we'll just stand up. So we know that the government has been stopping most of the decision of NMA and TAN, So NMA is like Nepal Mountaineering Association, and TAN is Trekking Association, Agency of Nepal. And there was some proposition, for example, most for the safety in 2019, saying like maybe we should limit the number of climbers because there were so many accidents and people go unprepared. But then it was that you should have to do like 6,000 peaks before applying for 8,000, but this was denied, and I'm wondering regarding, well, I want some answers if you get some ideas. And regarding the trash also, I'm wondering why is it not national situation, like you said, in the Everest region, in Sagarmatha, it is done in a way, but what about Manaslu, what about the other places? Why is it not a government issue? Why are they not giving so much attention on this? Are they anti? I understand that for economic reasons they don't want to limit people climbing because it brings money to the government. So I'm wondering if you have other ideas about this. I don't know if it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah, the the answer to that is not very easy. I've also been involved in that work for such a long time, and we've been looking at policies. How can we, which entity would be best to push for which policy and all. And right now the conclusion is like bureaucracy is just happy doing what they have been doing, right? And for all things, business or bureaucracy, like the things the way they are right now, they happen to be that way because it suits the current system, the status quo, you know. Anyone to break that status quo would require a lot of leadership, and especially I think now the answer lies in political will, because we've tried everything else, you know. Unless we have political leaders who actually understand these issues and consider them important, then we will have you know, different out of the box kind of thinking, and those kind of policies will come into effect. But right now it's being discussed a lot, but then the current systems, current rules make more sense to the people who are actually running all this, running the kind of the climbing ecosystem. So they want to keep it that way. So, you know, like it takes someone with courage and risk-taking appetite will to change it.
One dream I have on that is that actually the work which has been done on the Tibetan side of Mount Everest, 180 degrees of the mountains, can be done on similarly on the 360 degrees with the bilateral project, both government working on the same policies together, and almost like through comparison and almost putting a pressure from both sides so that they do the same, same practices.
Okay, so maybe I'm going to conclude now, and you can continue with your question after. There was one more.
Thank you very much. So I was in Pangboche just 2 weeks back, and I actually met those students. I didn't know they were from Yale. And I had a brief discussion with them, but beside that, I wanted to ask, how are you going to ensure the sustainability of the treatment facility in Pangboche? Because now you have French students, they're working, but will there be local community people learning the techniques, learning to run the facility after your students come back? And what are the products that you are envisioning to produce with the waste that is useful for mountain community and has more life cycle and has more value than just souvenirs, if you know what I mean? If you could much elaborate on that, I'd be really grateful. Thank you.
We have to be short on that because I mean it could take a long time, but we can discuss later also. But of course, first we are on the beginning stage, so I cannot answer yet all the questions about what are going to be the plastics, the recycled products made of plastics, because they are going to tell us, the local villagers of Pangboche, what's the best for them, right? So this is going to be to happen also during this trip we are doing. And yeah, regarding the transfer of knowledge of the skills to maintain the machines, that's of course very much needed, and to ensure the sustainability, and it's part of the project, of course. So every year there will be a set of 3 engineers coming from France, for as long as the center is self-run by the locals, and I will ensure that. I mean, I was wondering, you know, before I came, that would I be more involved, like years after year after year? Like it would really take 5, 8, 10 years, you know. So that's and also to create the proper business model for it. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big commitment, and yeah. Hopefully I'm still alive in a few. No, it's not only about me, but yeah, it needs people who are committed for a long time, not just 1 year, for sure. Yeah.
I think it was a good question to conclude also, thank you. Tonight's discussion have highlighted the critical importance of community engagement, international cooperation, and public awareness, addressing the multi-faced, challenging question of mountain environments and ecological sustainability that we can all have. It raises a significant question of how to align everyone toward a common vision, like you said, at the local level in the end, because that's the most important. Creating isolated initiatives without coordination can create challenges for local actors that are not really helping in the end. How can they design their own roadmap for the next, like you said, 5-10 years? We don't know exactly. We also know that we can do things now, but it's still going to be a long process to change and manage with the new change we're going to face and everything. This roadmap should include international actions while retaining control and coordination locally. Additionally, there's a need to raise awareness among youth and involve them in the ground process, ensuring their inclusion in shaping the future of mountain sustainability. This structured format should help facilitate a smooth flow of discussion during the panel that we had today and the panel coming in the future. I'm sure we're not the first one talking about those problems here in Nepal and elsewhere, about Nepal also and about other places. Before we close, I just wanted to thank the embassy and the ambassador for coming tonight. And obviously, Manon Jean, who organized all the events tonight. Merci Manon. The technique with Suresh and Amenis helping also tonight. All the team of the bistro who made some food for you and prepared some drinks. So thank you everyone. Thank you again for French Institute. The next panel of discussion is going to be in June. So please continue to follow us on social media to be aware about coming events. So sometimes it's panel of discussion, sometimes it's just meeting with music and theater or cinema or whatever, because Alliance Française is made for that. Thank you everyone for coming tonight, and a special thanks to our panelists. Merci beaucoup. Vous allez venir.